Yes, friends, have you ever asked yourself what happens when fire meets fire? Today we're going to learn why that's the case and what happens. Parham Maghsoodloo from Iran takes on the legendary Ukrainian player Vasyl Ivanchuk. Both are known to play very dynamic and fiery chess, explosive chess. So in this game, Parham starts with 1 to c4. Ivanchuk goes 1 knight f6. So it's a sort of English opening, but we'll see how it transposes. 1 knight f6, then we get c6, d4, d5, knight to f3, a6, and we transpose into the Shebanenko variation of the Slav. So the Shebanenko variation, also a favorite that I like to employ against d4, was employed by Vyacheslav Shebanenko, Moldovan trainer. Very common, very popular opening in the 80s, 70s, um, those years. And what's common and very thematic about this opening is that it's employed if you want to get strategic dynamic positions with black. Some good things to mention about this opening is that a6 also helps you get control of b5 square. It helps you develop your bishop. So you get some play on the side and you bring this out. So we'll see how the game continues then, right? We get c5. Parham takes full control maybe of b6, trying to hold on to that and to stop the knight from going knight d7, knight b6, right? So maybe Parham will try and thrust on the queen side. After c5, we get bishop to f5 as mentioned. Some possibilities in the Slav. This is actually why we go for this, is to employ bishop f5 and a6 and later try for b5. Bishop to f5 then. We get queen to b3 attacking here, and the natural move rook to a7 just prevents that. Bishop to f4 and knight b to d7. So very much still in theory, both players playing it by the book, no issues. We get h3. h3 is to also try and go for g4 to kick this bishop. e6 just developing to get the dark square out. We have e3, bishop e7, bishop e2. Here you should just castle and the game continues, right? But now we'll also see why it's so important generally to castle your king ASAP, because here on move 10, if black decides to castle, the complexion of this game could be very, very, very different. So knight to e4 and a3, and this is a bit of a strange move that is a bit hard to understand initially why it's played, because this is a new move in the position here, at least on this database. And we try and think maybe maybe the queen moves later on in time and you go for b4, or is it just like sort of a prophylactic move to throw the opponent off, because a3 in itself doesn't do that much. It's not probing, obviously, unless my understanding is off. It's just my thoughts on it. There's no immediate attack or plan with a3. Again, I say unless it's to a3 and you slide your queen away and to go b4. But other than that, I think it was just a psychological waiting move to attempt to see what black's gonna do. Because again, as you see, engines are saying you should castle, right? But we get queen to c8. Queen to c8, we get knight takes on e4, bishop takes on e4, and knight back to d2, hitting that bishop. So obviously, you wouldn't want to now to play, let's play h6. Immediately, you'll just take and you're enjoying a great advantage. Number one, pawns are doubled. Number two, queen c2 is coming, hitting that. And okay, yes, you can defend it maybe with knight f6 or f5. Let's go knight f6, but it's not great because now you just go bishop e5, beating that knight, and suddenly you don't have defense. So instead of knight f6, if you want to go maybe f5, well, even worse, because now that g4 thrust is very much possible since you played h3 earlier on to get moves like this, right? So now we're starting to see some drawback here if you went for this type of structure. Number one, you cannot castle queenside anymore. Why? Because you played rook a7 earlier on. Secondly, you've already now caused holes in your structure. If this has to happen, right? Now let's say you want a castle. Not good at all, because now it's just bishop c4. You could even go queen c4 here, right? Because this pawn is backward. You have to go knight f6 here to protect it with the queen, but now you just take, and you cannot take back. So it's such positions where you just end up losing positionally and strategically, as we've mentioned. This opening is very dynamic for positional play, rather, and strategic play. So you gotta understand positional nuances here. So after 92, you already see a small error with G5, right? And G5 is perhaps a bit overextending, causing more holes and weaknesses in the position. Remember, this king cannot be castled queenside anymore. And to castle kingside now is starting to look more and more not appetizing, you see, because you're making holes here now. And the thing is, white doesn't even have to castle short here anymore. You can blast it open like that, right? Alright, let's see what happens. After g5, we go bishop to d6. White goes bishop to d6. Also just wanting to trade bishops and planting the pawn there on d6. And also diminishing, getting rid of one defender. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Bishop to g6 then, but now white gets the central thrust soon after a4. a4 is a very smart move actually, right? Because what it does is it's playing on both sides of the board, right? And this is a very thematic and valuable concept to learn as players, right? That once you are taking control of one part of the board, like here Parham has already won the central battle, right? But now it's time to shift gears and to make sure you got other sides of the board clamped down. He's shifting his play to the king side now with a4, which can fluster the opponent and confuse them, right? Because now you're wondering why you suddenly just jumping to this side now. Where this is where mistakes are prone to happen because after a4, the position is like totally drawn. It's plus 0.1 from a 0.8. So let's say from a plus 1 advantage after bishop g6, it's going a4, but here mistakes are prone to happen. The top move here is queen to d8. Good luck finding that, especially with time um, against you in the game, because I believe here the opponents were going, the both players were going low on the clock. Excuse me, guys. So here we have a5, and now as you can see, and then that's I go e4, which is correct, but also h4 is fine. So he's so dynamic, immediately flipping, like switching gears, going to both sides of the board, which is a sign of a really good player. He's attacked on the left flank, now he's immediately striking on the right flank, which is really, really impressive, right? h4, we have g takes h, and now we get e4, the central thrust. So look at that crab-like setup, right? Crab-like motion in that moment. He went a4, h4, and now e4, right? This is known as the crab opening in chess, right? a4 and h4 with the crab legs. And then e4 in the center. So e4, bishop takes, and here the engine does say take with a d pawn. But what we tend to do as humans when we are under pressure, because black's feeling the pressure here, we want to simplify major or material, and this is very common as what we're seeing here now. Bishop takes, knight takes on e4, d takes e4, and now just simply rook takes e4, and the position is naturally increasing for white. The position is playing itself, right? It's so easy for white to play if you just look at it, right? Okay, yes, the evaluation is quite level for the most part, with perfect breadth from black, but give this position to any player now and they would prefer white any day. And just some reasons why, because we need to try and understand why, right? Firstly, as mentioned, black can't castle long anymore, right? Secondly, black's pieces are all either on the 8th or the 7th rank, so they cramped up. Thirdly, black's got doubled e-pawns. Fourthly, if he goes rook g8, there's weaknesses on h7, which is the best move, by the way. Another reason why the queen is going to slide over easily. It's got a lot of easy play and access to hunt this king. The king is unsafe, and this rook is coming in as well. These are just ideas that pop to mind. Bishop h5 possibilities, bishop c4 possibilities, rook a3, rook lifts, queen g3, queen h3, queen e3, hitting, coming in. You see what I mean? So all of these possibilities. What does black have? Not much. Very cramped down. What black can dream of is maybe trying to go knight f6 and then queen d7, trying to wiggle their way back in the game like that. You can't even run with your king like this. Why? Because this pawn is locking you down. And you can't directly attack this d6 pawn. Why? You don't have a dark squared bishop. So a lot of positional aspects here are wanting and pulling black down, you know. And it's easy for uh, white to even defend it, but white doesn't even have to worry about that now because they've got other plans here with the major pieces, right? As we'll see. Rook takes h4, we have queen d8, trying to maybe enter this way and attacking the queen, but not a problem. You just defend the queen, the rook, by going queen to g3. King to f8 then, and here now queen to f4, perhaps also just to hit this pawn, but again an inaccuracy made. But with one inaccuracy in these type of positions tends to come another one, so there's an inaccuracy by black as well. Yeah, but okay, the best move is to go queen f6, but it's considered inaccurate, so then you know the position is kind of dire, right? It's tricky. Queen to f6, we go queen takes e4, and now rook to a8, which is also the one of the best moves, right? But also considered inaccurate. Then you know the position is really difficult to play. Queen g5 is a top move, of course, but after queen g5, you'll just get a rook to f4. It's important here not to go here, or you could go rook takes h7. But if you go here, you just, well, you lose all your advantage, right? They're gonna trade queens, and suddenly you're a bit worse because you got double pawns now. The king can slide here to g8 and rook to d8, to g7. Queen can slide to g7 and rook to d8. And then how are you going to defend those pawns, especially this one? So it shows you gotta keep composure here. So you take on h7 and you'd enjoy being up pawn positionally and this other rook swinging in. But this doesn't happen. We get rook to a8, and now after that, uh, rook to a3, just preparing the rook lift. Just want us to go back quickly here. If after um, queen to g5, we go rook to a3, knight to f6, there's this queen to e5 ideas, rook to g8 just defending, and now you're doubling up. It's really hard for black to play. Yes, with perfect play you can somewhat hold, but it's not easy at all. Even here, like you're going up plus 1.3 advantage, knight to here, you end up just taking here soon enough, and you're breaking in. Okay, we go back to the game. Rook to e8, rook to e3, and here's this blunder of queen to g5. So it's a move late, and the reason why this is considered wrong is because of the simple rook to f4 now. So if we go a move back, right, here queen to g5 is good, because now if you go rook to a3, well, you're in time with knight to f6 to kick the queen away. But because you went rook a8 first, rook a3, and now queen to g5, it's my move now, and if I go here, as I do with white rook to f3, you cannot do this. Because now the simple queen f4, how are you defending that knight? Because yes, you trade queens, but now the other rook doubles up, and this knight is hit twice. And worse, the knight moves, let's say to g8 for instance, by f7. Worse, you can't enter to the 7th even if this rook moves away. Because why? This pawn is constricting your movement. So you'd go there, but it's easy to resign. Your rook just hangs, right? So let's show that again. Here, and there. Right? And now, okay, you do that, you just bring the other one in, it's game over. You're bound to lose more material here. Material is actually forced off the board. So this is why Queen G5 was essential um, on on the 23rd move and not the 24th move. So one move difference. We get king to f8, from f8 to e8 after rook to f3. Rook takes on h7, rook takes, and queen takes. And here now you're just going to break in, right? Because after that knight to f6, well, you take, queen takes, and queen to g8, you're winning the rook. King to d7, queen takes on a8, you up a piece. King takes on d6. King takes on a5. This is easy to win now. Queen to d4. Queen to d8. You're trading queens. Queen to d8, king to c5, king takes on d4, and it's in this position on move 33 that Vasyl Ivanchuk resigned the game. So yes, guys, it was a really, really exciting game. It shows you one move difference, what it can do, and also the risks involved when you're playing um, such positional openings, right? Because one error like overextending a pawn push, not castling soon enough, can really cost you. Or not castling when the position's calling for you to naturally castle, like on move 10 as it showed earlier on. Because there being a castle on move 10, the dynamic is totally different, right? The complexion of the game is totally different, right? There won't be any ideas really of attacks on the over the H file and the G file there. Well, maybe it's still here, but just imagine if the king was on G8 and the rook was on F8 in this game. Like those attacks would most likely not have happened, or at least not like that, right? So I can't say that white would have won or black would have held or won, but it would have been different for who had the castle sooner. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and that you took something from the video, learned a bit, and yeah. If you enjoyed it, really do comment, like, and sub. It'll mean a lot to the channel, and we'll be back again with more coverage from the Djerba Masters. So yeah, have a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye.